here in Mississippi, we have 3 transportation commissioners elected: the northern, the central, where I am, and the southern district. And in the central district, I represent approximately 1 million citizens in 22 counties. My daily work involves things that individuals don't really think about when they say transportation commissioner, like highways and bridges. We take care of all the highways and bridges, but in addition to that, we actually work with the Magnolia transportation system, which is our airports, our rails, public transit. So those things are very important, and the ports to us. And when we put it all together, it comes to a good mixture of transporting goods and citizens to where they need to go. Think about it this way. If you don't have a good infrastructure system, transportation, you can't have a residential community. You can't have a hospital because the ambulance can't get to and from. You can't get the patient where they need to be. You can't have a school system because the buses can't get to where they need to be. So we are the glue and the connector that bring all of it together. Well, I served in the Senate for 26 years.
Right.
And 8 of those years, I was the chairperson of the Highway and Transportation Committee. And that allowed me to really get to know what was going on in transportation, both resources as well as policies. And it gave me an opportunity to see what the disconnect was. And as I looked at it as a senator and chairperson of the Transportation Committee, I realized that there was many areas of the state in the Central District that were not getting their fair share. It was kind of like taxation without representation.
Yeah.
They was paying into the fuel tax, but they weren't really getting good roads and bridges, safe bridges. So those were the kind of things that drove me to saying, I want to exit the Senate and become a commissioner.
What priorities compete in urban versus rural roads, as well as new construction versus maintenance? Like, how do you advocate for your central district and make sure it's not overlooked?
Because we are elected, as I indicated earlier, as commissioners, individuals can take it as being political, but we try and take the politics out of transportation. Because when you ride on our highways and bridges, you really don't see a Democrat bridge or highway. You don't see a Republican bridge or highway. You don't see an independent. You see a highway transportation system that you want to get to and from where you are. So we as commissioners try and take the politics out of it. Although sometimes you can get into situations where it looks like one area is getting more than the other. Similar to what I said earlier, well, we as commissioners, the 3 of us,
Right.
we've agreed that we were going to work towards making sure that Mississippi has a good infrastructure system for the entire state, all 82 counties, all 3 million citizens. What you hear from citizens, it depends on where you are.
Yeah.
And what kind of issues that they are facing with the person who lives out in rural Mississippi or here in Jackson, in the urban area. When a bridge is out, that's the thing that's most important to them. When are you going to be able to replace that bridge? When is my business and how my business is going to be affected by that? Also, if you live in the Jackson metro area, some of the most conversation that you may have may be around grass, mowing the grass and picking up litter. You get to the business side of the community, they want to know, when are you going to expand Interstate 55? Or when are you going to do something for I-20 with all of the traffic that's on I-20 and I-55 to make it a smoother route? You speaking of doing some work on the bridge, like last year, we had to close down lanes on Interstate 55 to work on the Pearl River Bridge. That was the most talked about thing for a period of time. When we moved from that, folks started talking about other kind of things. When are you going to pave my project? And you get into those kind of things and you begin to try and figure out, how do you bounce it? I tell folks all the time, having 22 counties, it's kind of like my having 22 wives. And having 22 wives, you have to keep them all happy. So you give each of the wives what they like and what they want and what they need. You work to your very best to make that happen. And that's what I try and do with the 22 counties, is to make sure that if it's Issaquah County or Shockey County, maybe a small population, but if it's a bridge or a highway that need paving, I do that. You come to Jackson, If it's Interstate 20, Highway 18, or in Madison County, Interstate 55, over in the Meridian area, it could be Highway 19 or Interstate 20 also. You work to take care of those issues, and as the commissioner, that's been my mission and my goal, is to take a look at the 22 counties and assess what their needs are, and then work towards giving it to each wife what they need. The biggest misconception is that I, as commissioner, once they find out that I'm transportation commissioner, then they say, well, you ought to take care of every transportation problem that there is. So the big misunderstanding, miscommunication is the various highways. We take care of state highways. We don't deal with the county roads and the city streets. Although we would come in and do a collaboration through a local LPA or some other kind of funding that may be available, and we will work with the city and the county. But the county roads and the city roads are the responsibilities to the county board of supervisors and to the mayor. So it gets mixed up. When you're driving and you hit a pothole, if you're on Capitol Street, State Street in Jackson, and you meet the transportation commissioner, you want to know why, commissioner, is that pothole over there? Why is my bridge closed down? So that's the misconception that you have. The other one is they think when you say we have a project in the 3-year plan, well, if it's in the 3-year plan, you're going to see that highway completed in 3 years. We don't build highways that fast. It takes time to put together a project like we are dealing with capacity highways now, Interstate 55, Highway 27 in Hinds County. We've been talking about Highway 27 in Hinds County, which is the most unsafe highway in the state. And it's in my 3-year plan, but you don't see any dirt moving. So the citizens want to know, why are you talking about a highway in a 3-year plan and I won't see it built for 10 years? Well, that's the process that we have to go through because it's long drawn out with having to access right away after you put in the plan, do all of the engineering and make sure that the flooding is proper so that you're not flooding the community once you build a highway. And then you get into design and you get into right-of-way purchases and you get into who's going to get the contract. And we build highways in 10-mile intervals. We don't just go out and say we're going to build a highway and it's 50 miles long and we say put 50 miles on the contract. We don't do that. We do about 10 miles at a time. But because before I was commissioner, you could look at that sign and say opportunities was nowhere. After January 7, 2020, and I became commissioner, it moved from being opportunities are nowhere to opportunities are now here. Because I am the commissioner and I am now here to work towards taking care of the 1 million citizens in the district in the 22 counties. I'm fortunate and glad to say that during the first 4 years that I was in as commissioner, we spent over $1 billion on projects, paving, and capacity projects and bridges in the central district. We put bridge money and paving money in parts of the community that was not being given to in the past. Holmes County, Bolivar County, you ride the Mississippi Delta now, and you see road work going on. Most of the highways have been paved. You drive up Highway 49 now going into the Delta, good highway. We're working on getting rid of the trees. You come here in Jackson, Interstate 220, where we have paved it, but in addition to paving it, we have taken down the trees so it's safer. We have put lights up. We have just brought opportunities to the district. So I can truly say that opportunities went from being nowhere to now here in the Central District. You elected Willie Simmons as your transportation commissioner. And since that time, you've seen a lot of opportunities, a lot of growth, a lot of highways and bridges being taken care of that you didn't see in the past. That is an indication that representation means a lot. And you need to go to the poll to determine who's going to be your elected officials serving you. If you don't participate in that process, then you get what you have been getting. Opportunities nowhere. You make the change and you put opportunities as being now here and things begin to happen. So let me just say, I'm going to build and maintain the highways so that you have good highways to ride on and travel to the polling place. All you need to do is get in your vehicle and go to the poll and vote, because I'm going to give you the good corridors that you can move around and make it happen. Interstate 20, we're going to be putting a lot of money. As a matter of fact, we're going to do a $177 million project on Interstate 20 during the next year. We'll be letting the grant sometime this summer to do that. In addition to that, we're going to be widening Interstate 55 and doing work throughout the district. So you may have to slow down a little bit. Don't run through those work zones trying to get to the poll. Leave it earlier and go to the poll. Voting is very important. Who you vote for determines on the kind of representation you want to have. And let me just encourage everybody who is voting age, everybody who can vote should take it upon their own to say, we want individuals who are going to create opportunities for us and make a difference. And as a result of that, we're going to go to the poll and vote. So go to the poll and vote.